Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Devin Howard. I'm the chair of the Department of Music, and we are glad to welcome you each year for Erin's senior recital. This is also doubling as a presentation for the honors department. Erin has completed the coursework and processes of the honors department, and that culminates with a little bit of presentation this afternoon, and you'll see that is at the end of the recital, so that's part of the process there. If you're just visiting our campus for the first time, restrooms in this building are located just out the doors and to the right, and I do ask that you wait to exit or enter the hall between numbers, so it's not a distraction to the performer or to the other audience members. It's a busy time of year for us here at Southwestern, so we have many upcoming senior recitals in the next 2 weeks, and later on during the incredible reception that we will enjoy, there is a wall of posters that has all of the upcoming senior recitals, so please do check that out, and these are all open to the public and free, so we'd love to have you join us for any of those upcoming. With that, we are ready to enjoy this afternoon's recital, so let's welcome the performer to the stage.
Testing. Okay. Hello. Okay, so I am an honor student who aspires to be a composer. But the thing is, I have really nobody to look up to. The world is full of male composers. Well, the history of Western world. So my honors project is about recognizing women composers and the exploration of sound. I'm going to read the abstract so you kind of get the gist of what I'm going to be doing. The history of Western music has brought about many composers and has contributed to the growth of music that many people know today. And of course, many of you know the greats of composition and music. You guys know Bach, you guys know Beethoven, Vivaldi, yeah. Well, the problem is, well, it's not really a problem, but there's just no women I can really look up to. Like how can I, an aspiring composer, you know, how can I aspire to be anybody like them? And as I said, one aspect of history that we hardly recognize are the works of women composers due to the social standards in the early centuries. In this research project, I will pay homage to a composer by the name of Elizabeth Jacquet de la Guerre and explore her works and compose music based on the techniques and textures used by her and her time period. The social stigma against women in music. So I've always asked myself, I've always known that there was a part of me that loved to make music, whether it would be dawdling on the piano or actually writing it down on a piece of paper before I had Finale or Sibelius. But I've just noticed that there's just not many women composers. Most of them were musicians. And if they were composers, they were hidden under the guise of their male counterparts, sadly. They would be hidden under their brother, their husband, their uncle, maybe. And apparently it was improper for women during this time. Apparently music making and creating wasn't a proper thing for women. So, yeah. It was seen as immoral to perform publicly, and women were only expected to play in the private domestic settings. So when the higher class would have parties, women would entertain the guests with their instrument playing. But they were never taught how to compose or how to write music, sadly. They were just there for entertainment, just for social gatherings. And that kind of brings me to Elizabeth Jacquet de la Guerre. I found her when I was looking for my honors thesis. I was like, I want to write about a female composer. I want to have someone to look up to, because yes, I can try to imitate Schubert or Bach or Beethoven, but like, where is the womanly aspect of music? What could have women brought to the music world? That's what the main question is. And fortunately for Elizabeth Jacquet de la Guerre, she was one of the chosen ones. I honestly think she was one of the chosen ones. But she grew up in a family of composers, family of musicians. She came from a family that made harpsichords, the early keyboards. And her dad was so adamant for her brothers and her sisters to be like very successful and can take care of themselves in life. So he encouraged them to learn music, every single one. Even if you were a girl, even if you were a boy, he was very adamant that you learn music. And one of her most famous collection of works is called Pieces de Clavecin, or also known as Music for the Harpsichord. And it's just a collection of music, starting off with a prelude, and then obviously has a collection of dance music. And I think that was pretty cool, because early in the days, dancing was like a social thing for them. They would go out and hang out with the royals. This was the higher class. They would go out and dance. Sometimes the lower class would do it too, but you would see more people with instruments, and they would be playing minuets, chaconnes, jigs. And back to Elizabeth de la Guerre, so there was something special about her, and there's a reason why she stood out from many early women composers. And it was the fact that at an early age, she started writing music at the age of 5. And once Louis XIV heard about this, he invited her to his palace. And ever since then, she became the court composer, and she would create operas. She actually made the first opera in France as a woman composer. It's very interesting. So, and this takes me to the dance music. Most of these were in binary form, meaning there was an A section and then a B section. And these sections would usually be taken place and have certain types of like techniques and ways of writing them that would make them very particular to a style. So the style of composition that I chose to experiment with is called a minuet. Everybody who has probably played piano or any keyboard has been taught a minuet at a very young age. A minuet is a dance form and time signature of 3/4 and is split in 2 sections, A and B. A is the introductory material that is repeated, and then B is the new material, also repeated 2 times. And what I've noticed when listening to her pieces de clavecin is that there were strange decorations on top of notes. And first we have like little squiggle notes that you see on music. If you've ever read music, there's a little squiggly note, yes. These are called ornamentations. The first one I'd like to point out is called a trillo, or like a trill. Basically, you're taking the note and kind of going up and down on top of the note, and then we have a mordent starting from the note, as you can see, the note that it's given, and then going under and back. And then it basically goes over all the different types of decorations that they did in early music. As we all know that Baroque music is very decorative. You can even see in the Baroque art style that everything was very intricate, and this is how they were with their music as well. Now, for my composition, I faced some challenges, and like all composers, especially for me, I'm kind of on the beginner side of composing. It just seemed that I couldn't find an independent melody on the left hand, and trying to write as if it was Baroque was difficult, because what we're used to, especially in the modern era, is a chord on the bottom and then a melody playing on top. It's totally different for Baroque. Sometimes you have melodies in between voices, and this is what you call counterpoint, and they're very independent of each other. They are basically like their own melody. They can flourish on their own if they were separated. In creating the composition, finding what felt right within the 5 fingers, and also adding an independent counter medley. So one problem I did also face is that I had to rewrite my composition, my keyboard composition, so many times so it could fit within the scope of what my hand can actually do. There was many things I wanted to try out, but like I had to make sure that I was able to play it correctly and see if like if a keyboardist did come and play it, would be able to go through it and feel no discomfort and whatnot. So my composition, I did a little play on words. It's called Give Me a Minuet. Just give us a second to get this stand on the piano. you. And the reason why I chose a minuet is because I wanted something simple to experiment with. I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was kind of playing with. I didn't want to go too crazy and mess up and get frustrated. I wanted to start off easy. But the thing is, when I was writing a minuet, I found it very fun, only because I love counterpoint. So I just got crazy and decided that I kind of want to do something else. I'm going to do something harder. I want to challenge myself to go beyond what I was kind of taught here. And I did a lot of research, did a lot of listening, how counterpoint was used by other artists and other composers, and I found myself almost writing a fugue. And for the next song, I kind of got a little crazy. Well, I'm going to read the slide. Well, that was fun. It took me a while to figure out the counter melodies and making it sound Baroque-ish. The embellishments need to fit within the framework of my hand and also have impact so the music can flow. Overall, I loved the challenge, but I wanted more. So I took it on myself to make my own project. And I was like, I want to do something for myself. I want to make sure that I know what I'm capable of and that I can challenge myself. I know that I can do it. And yes, it may have taken so many sleepless nights, but I was excited doing every part of this project. And I want to show you this string quartet of a simple melody called Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise in a Baroque style. Give me 1 second. Make sure it's this one. was like, what was that? I forgot to turn off music. So I not only wanted to have fun with this one, it was more of an inspiration. I kind of wanted to tell a story through my music as well. And to be honest, everybody has their ups and downs, and everybody has their high moments. And I kind of wanted to emulate this in this piece of work, especially when it came to the world and we as people who worship God and put our trust in Him. We know that in the very beginning, in the very first couple measures, there was one voice that said, "Let there be light." And in the beginning of this piece, I emulated that one voice, and all of a sudden we have more days, more things being added to the earth, and all of a sudden we are in celebration that we are living and that we are here on earth, and because God loves us. But then sin comes and takes us, and this minor part, we have this junction of chaos and just counter melodies in the minor, and then all of a sudden we have this battle between voices, one starting off in the tonic, and then all of a sudden we're on the dominant again, and it became a fugue. In this part, I wanted to emulate war and the great controversy between good and evil. And in the end, I wanted it to end on a good note, and it did, because God always wins, right? In the end, I wanted to have a celebratory feel, and the feel of victory over evil. And of course, this is not done yet, just like how our duty here on earth is not done. And I just wanted to emulate that in this piece, specifically because God is immortal and God is invisible, but He's always wise. So with this, I will admit it is not completely done. I want to continue this. I want to keep growing on it because I feel like I could go further if I continue my studies. So I'm going to keep this in my little play card and hopefully continue what I am doing and, keep composing music. I just was so inspired about learning about Elizabeth De La Guerre, and I guess this kind of shows that I am capable of doing so much more, even maybe more than a man too. So me doing this kind of proves that I can go further than what I think I can do. So I hope you enjoyed my honors presentation. And if you have any questions, anything, just you can ask me. You can come to me afterwards. And yeah, I also want to have a special thanks for all the teachers at SWO, Dr. Howard, Dr. Nunes, and Mr. Wall. I also want to thank Dr. Paris for teaching me these past 4 years and dealing with my stubbornness. But I also want to thank the Honors Department for supporting me and my journey and figuring out what I want to do for the rest of my life and dedicating this to God. And again, thank you for coming to my recital, and have a great day.
your